what does your process look like? Like, what does your affirmations or your manifestation process like? What does that look like when you wake up and it's not super cold or whatever and dark? Like, what are you doing?
And I wake up properly. So when I'm really sticking to my routine, I try to wake up at around 5 or 5:30. I have a son, so I have to kind of make the most of the hours where he's not up. And I prefer the winter because I like to have candles whilst I'm doing it. Just no artificial lighting and no kind of distractions in the morning. Then the first thing I will do is I'll make my coffee and everything's quiet. And then I'll sit down and do some journaling. And it all started really, I think it was about 2 years ago. I just decided I wanted to get my morning routine knuckled down. I want to journal, and I have always loved writing and loved journaling and everything. But I suppose I put too much pressure on what it means to journal. And I kind of had this realization that just putting pen to paper and writing whatever feels right that day is journaling. I could write one line because I feel tired, I don't feel good, and that's still journaling. So I make sure I write. Once I've written whatever comes to mind. It could be a big list of affirmations. It might be about a situation I'm currently in, whatever. Um, I then go into the affirmations, and I've got strict ones.
Oh
Like
yeah?
I've got repetitive ones.
Same.
Did you say same?
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same vibe, but I also try and come up with things. And
So what are some affirmations that you would say?
so for a long time, I was doing things like saying, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm so grateful for my health and my well-being,
Yeah.
and I'm respected. And I think a big thing for me working in sales is there's a lot of rejection.
Mm,
And as a young woman, I think maybe I'm a bit more emotional than some, maybe take things a bit more personally than others would.
hmm.
And it's a lot of rejection every single day. And so a big one for me was making sure that in the mornings I'm kind of affirming that I'm respected and I'm good at what I do and I'm good at my job and clients want to work with me and I make a positive impact, I add value. So a lot of my affirmations are kind of around that, really kind of simple ones that everybody can use. You could read them and they would relate to you. The one line that maybe wouldn't is I always say that I am the woman that I look up to.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think that one is a good one when it comes to just confidence.
Okay, so I'm trying to get a better understanding, especially for the audience, who might be really new to this work, especially if they want to manifest like money or career and stuff. Like, uh, just a specific structure. So meaning like, so you wake up and you're journaling, and so it sounds like you also add in some more general affirmations that just make you feel good. Which I do too. That really raises my vibration. I do a lot of like gratitude and stuff like that. That's how I kind of got started. Um, but then like you know, I have some clients who like they work a lot, right? They make a lot of money, but they work a lot. And then so I told them before they go into their job or whatever to do affirmations like, oh, today is gonna be so easy, everything's so easy, like, and then, within a short period of time, they go from working like 70, 80 hours a week, which I didn't even know was possible, to working
Yeah.
like to like 20 hours a week, right? And then they have way more free time, they have way more energy, and they have so much freedom. And so, you know, it's very important to prepay your job, like to do the right affirmations before you walk into your job. So it sounds like you do stuff for your job for sales. Do you do like money affirmations and things of that nature as well? And how do you like what specifically do you do and how do you balance those?
Yeah. So I think the obviously sales and money goes hand in hand. I think I'm, correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong. I don't think anybody works in sales unless they're motivated by money because that's all it's about. Sales, getting money, that.
yeah.
Um, so I obviously do the normal ones day to day to help with things like confidence and just gratitude and starting the day with the right mindset.
Okay.
Um, as humans, we have like a negativity bias, so we're more likely to wake up in a bad mood. So it's kind of just making sure that I'm set up. When it comes to the money affirmations, that's when it gets a bit more specific. So, have you ever read a book called Psycho-Cybernetics?
Mm-mm.
Um, that's good. I mean, it's a really old text, really, really old, but you
Yeah.
can snippets of it on Spotify
Yeah.
and things. And that is amazing for money affirmations. And that's kind of where I took most of the ideas and like created my own with that. So I suppose the money ones are more like when I know I've got a good meeting coming up, or, like when I know that I just want to smash the day because I've got some really good opportunities. And you know what? It's actually crazy how an opportunity that you thought was like this ends up like this. Like I had it today. I thought I was going to see like a business, but it turns out they have multiple businesses and they're turning over millions, not hundreds of thousands. And I did my money affirmations this morning. So I try to do them every day because they work. And the days I forget to do them, I'm like, damn, like, why did I forget? Because I know they work. And literally, if I ask for it, something will happen. Like, money will just land somehow.
Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I call them sort of like portal experiences. They're
Yeah.
almost like a timeline jump experiences. Like so, you know, before I meet up with like a major client or before I, launch something new or do whatever, that's usually a time where like I really juice up the affirmations. Yeah, and just really, really download that frequency. And then when it happens, it's like a portal. It's like a timeline jump, and we really match that higher timeline with our energy, with our vibration, with our affirmations, and yeah, and it's like a launching pad, and just like really incredible. Um, so okay, so when the opportunity comes up, like what exact affirmations would you be saying? It's just like, this deal is landing or
So the best ones for me are saying things like works for me. I don't work
mm,
for money. Money works for me. Money follows me wherever I go. Money loves me. Money wants me. Money wants me more than I want it. Money needs me. Money's attracted to me. I'm a magnet for money. Things like this. And I just get into this flow and I'm like in my car and I've turned the music down and I'm just like flowing. Like, I think they call it like flow state now, but like, yeah, it's just coming, it's just happening. And I also talk about not just money, but opportunities. So it's, to me, it's the same thing. So opportunities follow me, opportunities land in my lap. The universe is working for me in more ways than I realize. Nothing right for me is going to pass me by. The opportunities that are coming to me are for me, only for me. And it's just, you just keep going and you say what feels right. And they truly just, I mean, you must know what I mean. They just come, they just flow. And yeah,
so are you repeating the same thing over again, or you try to just flow and find different thoughts or
I just flow with it. And then
mm,
if I end up repeating, it just happens. I think one thing that psycho-cybernetics taught me was that a lot of people have bad a bad relationship with money, and I know lots of books talk about this, but I think we all go through things at some point in our life where money has really affected us. And I've certainly had my fair share of experiences money where money was kind of the cause of maybe some issues. And once you realize that money is so easy to obtain and so easy to get hold of, that's when everything starts to shift in your mind. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's I'm not being naive in the fact that obviously not everybody has those opportunities, but I managed to get myself from something to a very comfortable position for me personally, and affirmations played the biggest part in that, like, the biggest part.
So, when did you first start practicing it? What was that first moment where you start applying this and you start to notice, like, wait, something's happening. I'm manifesting money or something's moving. What was that like for you?
So, I actually remember it so clearly when it all just clicked for me, and it was actually during COVID times. So, I think naturally I've always been a manifester, but not understanding that it's a concept or a widely known thing that people do. And it was actually the book Good Vibes, Good Life.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Vex King or something?
yeah, Vexing.
Yeah, yeah.
And someone I knew had got into reading, posted the book, and I thought that looks good. And I was actually doing a cleaning job at the time. I was a cleaner, and I listened to the audiobook. I was like, that's really interesting. And he recommended Secret. So naturally, the next book I listened to was The Secret, and I'm sure this was 2020. And I thought, okay, this is cool, and I could sort of already relate. I guess I was already open to the idea. And the thing that happened, the pivotal moment for me, the turning point where I thought, I don't know if I can swear, but I
It's
was
fine.
like, shit, this is like crazy. Was I did some like money affirmations. I essentially like literally asked the universe, or as a secret would say, like put an order into the universe of like, not I need money. Obviously, you have to come at it from a place of abundance. But I will be honest, back then I was sort of coming at from a place of desperation. So I'm
Yeah,
not sure how that quite worked. I think it was maybe
yeah.
just us being like, look, it works. Like, and me and my partner at the time had a lot of debt, and we were just in a bad position. And I asked, and literally, like, within a couple of hours, my mum just said, "Oh, can I have a chat with you?" And I said, "Yeah." And she sat down with me and she just said, "Look, I've got some money, and I know you've been finding things a bit difficult at the moment," but I hadn't spoke to her about it at all. I literally hadn't spoke to her. She was like, "Look, I know things are gonna get better, and you just pay me back when things like whenever you can.
Aw.
You don't need to worry about it. I don't care when you pay me back." And I just burst into tears, said, "Mum, you have no idea how bad I've been feeling. You have no idea how much I've been struggling." And I thought this, and then I told her, I said, "Mum, I manifested this. I literally asked. I said, like, help me. I don't know what to do anymore." And like, and I did whatever I did at the time. I don't remember exactly what I said, and it kind of made my mum believe. Like, my mum now, we talk as if things are all the time.
Wow, with your mom?
Yeah, my mum is fully in on this. Yeah.
That's that's a double blessing. Like, not only did she give you some money, but she also got on the affirmation manifesting, wave. Like that's
Yeah.
so powerful. What?
Yeah. Well, I think our family have always been open to it because from a really, really young age, me and my brother always spoke about our dreams, like what we wanted to do. And from a really young age, he always said, I want to be a music producer. Or, no, sorry, not I want. I'm going to be a music producer. And he is a very big music producer. He's currently in LA. Like, he's signed to a big
Wow.
US label. Like, he's absolutely killing it, like smashing it out of the park. And I didn't even know how we knew what a music producer was at the age of like 8. Like,
Wow.
how do you even know what that is? And that was always the plan. And we used to talk about how we just knew we were going to do cool things. We just didn't know. I don't know why. I don't know why we used to say things like that. But it's just like I said, it started from such a young age. What about you though? How did you? kind of find all of this and kind of just go into it?
Yeah, I have a more of a background in more like meditation and being present and quieting my mind. So that was my background, and I remember, yeah, I used to really struggle with my thoughts, and then I got into quieting my mind, being present, like very like power of now, like Eckhart Tolle type concepts, and yeah, like that's all I was focused on. And then the years passed, and a lot of things happened, life happened, and actually, it was around the pandemic. I just remember like man, everything in my life is much improved, but I still struggle with money. Like, I'm just, like I'm always at like a net negative with money. And I just remember one day I had the realization that even though I'm like very meditative and present, I, when I'm not aware, I still just feed into a lot of my money, like analyzing, yeah, and worries, right? Like, I still notice that I'm like constantly thinking about how to make money, like, just constantly thinking about bills and groceries and just it was more like an analyzing calculation mechanism, and, um, I remember finally catching that, and once I caught that, I just started to, like, when I wake up, I quiet my mind, I'm meditating, I'm focusing on my breath or whatever, and then this very seductive thought of like, "Man, let's worry about money," like, it would start to, like, kick in. And I was like, "You know what? No, I'm gonna keep being very present and focus on my breath instead of worrying." But it was so hard because it felt like life or death. It felt like if I don't worry about money, I'm gonna like die and everything's gonna fall apart. But yeah, I did it and I just noticed so many different little patterns, like when I go to the grocery store, um, I'm I'm like calculating everything, It was like, wow, I didn't even realize I was doing this, even though I was so aware and present all the time, because uh this is a habit that I had since I was probably a kid. I didn't even register that I had this habit of thinking going on. Like it was just it felt so normal that I just thought, "Oh, you're supposed to worry about money." Like that's just human
Did
nature or something. Yeah.
parents do that though? Did your
Yeah, yeah, Asian parents, like, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
So of course, of course.
Yeah,
So everything really comes from them, right?
yeah,
Yeah, but anyway, so I finally realized this. So, I would go to the grocery store and just be so meditative and just not, uh, so when that like urge to think about the price comes, I would just not think about price and just
yeah,
shop and just try to be in flow state as I shop. And, I think a few days passed and I was feeling better. I was like, "You know what? Like, something's going on, like, something's happening." I feel different, like, nothing. I'm not noticing much external change, but something is different. And then so I just kept going at it, and a week went by, and then, like, I think, like, a week and a half or 2 weeks went by, and now I'm like, "Okay, I did something," because I no longer have the same pattern of worrying about, money as I did before. And then, yeah, like I received a call from someone who was like, "Hey," they just randomly sent me $500. And, at that point, like I was like, "I'm not seeing $500." I was like, "Whoa," like,
yeah,
because before I was trying to coach people and, I was doing donations and stuff, and I had like this call with some woman in the UK or whatever, and it was like an amazing call. And I'm like, "Wow, they're probably gonna send me a lot of money." And then, they sent me, like, less than $10 or something, and then
oh
and
gosh,
then and then my phone bill company called me and was like, "Hey, we just charged you over 100 something dollars because you just made an international call for over an hour." And I was like, that's that moment where I knew, like, "Okay, it has to be my resistance, like, it has to be something within me that is just making me so allergic to money and sales."
yeah,
So, anyway, so at first, it was just, yeah, just using meditation and quieting my mind, and then all of a sudden, yeah, after a few weeks of deactivating all these negative worries and patterns, like money start happening, I ended up at I ended up with a wonderful um job position at my family restaurant or whatever. And and I was only working like 3 days, and I was making so much money, and, like, I was, like, literally sitting I had an office to myself, and I'm sitting there eating seafood boil, like, and just, taking, like, 2 or 3 tables, and they were just all rich people, and they were, like, giving me so much money at the time. It was, like, so much money to me, and there was, like, sports all over the place, and, I'm just watching sports, making money, eating good food, hanging out with my family, and that was the first time where I'm like, "Wow," like, I have a surplus, like, a larger surplus of money, like, to me, it was like, "Wow, I finally am not in the negatives all the time." And then basically from there, a few years go by, and, I'm working, and then I finally decide, "You know what? I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna be completely free, like, not work and not do anything and manifest money."
Mhm.
Right? So that was very challenging for me at the time. So I quit, and I'm like, "What the fuck am I doing?" I quit, and I went to Costa Rica with my best friend, and then the flights um, they kinda screwed me over on the flights, and then I had to, like, pay, like, an extra thousands of dollars, and so I only had, like, $2,000 saved or something, and, now I lost half of it within first
Yeah.
day, and I go to Costa Rica, and I come back, I had the most amazing time with my best friend in Costa Rica, and I come back, and I'm already, like, down to my last, like, $200. I'm like, "Wow, like, this is so scary, like, what am I gonna do?" So it forced me to focus, and that's when I got into, like, a lot of, like, Abraham Hicks teachings, like, there's a technique in the book called the focus wheel technique, which is when you find better feeling thoughts. Um, and so I start doing this technique where, I have a negative thought, like, I'm not getting any sales right now, like, I'm about to, like, have no more money left and whatever, and I would just do these, um I just find better feeling thoughts, like, "You know what?" Like, sales don't always come all the time, but they do come, like, here and there, and it's always just the right amount I need, right? Or I would just say thoughts that felt slightly better,
Mm.
and all of a sudden, 'cause when I first started, I was making, like, barely any money, like, from coaching or anything. All of a sudden, I started getting clients like crazy, like, like, thousands of dollars start pouring in, and then, like, I started having $3,000 months, $4,000 months, and I'm like, "Wow," like, and then just, it was just a very intense time of my life where I just really wanted to not have to work, because if I run out of money, then I'm gonna have to work, you know? And so, I didn't wanna do that, so I started to combine affirmation and clearing my negative thoughts, and it was just, like, amazing, and within 6 months, I stabilized in that freedom, and then all of a sudden, I start traveling nonstop. And so, I just came back from Asia. I've been in Asia for like 80, 90% of the year. And so now I have freedom, and I'm traveling internationally nonstop and just stuff like that, basically.
Living life.
Yeah, so that's kind of like my journey. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get exactly what you mean. I think ta taking that plunge is crazy. Just quitting your job and going, "I'm just gonna make money work for me."
It was very, I mean, okay, like, to the point where I went to Thailand
Yeah.
with no money and in debt at the time, and I had to provide for my girlfriend, and I had nothing booked or anything. I had, like, $70 in my bank account. Like, I'm going to Thailand, no tickets back or nothing. I like, it was so stressful, and literally, it was almost like life or death. I was constantly facing these crazy situations because I have a urge to go, but then I'm like, "Damn, like, I have to really elevate my practice," because, yeah, like, at first, I would just not do affirmations and whatever. I would just try to, like, quiet my mind and stuff in that situation where, I have this crazy, Thailand trip. I'm gonna be there for like 2, 3 months with I have no money, like, I wasn't getting any sales at the time. I'm like, "What am I doing?" Like, why I would have sleepless nights. I'm like, "Why am I doing this? Like, why
Yeah.
am I doing this?" And then I did it anyways, and just risking it all, and yeah, and it just forced me to really step up my practice. So, at first, I was just quieting my mind, and I would notice, like, okay, day to day, I would somehow get by. Um, and but when I added in the affirmations on top of that, that's when I was started to, like, ball out, right? So it's like when I'm just quieting my mind, I am able to, like, things work itself out, but still kinda, like, hectic and turbulent.
Mm.
But I wanted me and my girlfriend to have a great time, right? So even though like that was such a challenging experience for me, like we were staying at beach resorts like all the time. Like we stayed at beach resorts. I got a 2-bedroom condo for us, like so I don't know how I was doing these things. I genuinely that was the craziest time of my life. I was like, why am I doing this? Like it does not have to be this stressful, but I just had to follow that call and everything.
I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
was this like a was this like a calling that you needed to do that? So your trip to Asia, was that like something in you that was pulling you to do that?
Yeah, because I have cleared so much resistance on my vibration that I don't really have a lot of like my low moments looks like me at a beach resort, just a little bit more stressed. But like
Low
so
low moments.
low moments, yeah, like like yeah, because people go through highs and lows, right? Like just throughout
Yeah.
their lives, right? And now my lower moments, because everything is like a scale, right? You have like highs, and then like you have some type of lower moment. It doesn't have to be negative, but it's just
Yeah.
like sometimes I'm making way more money than other times or whatever, right? Um, but yeah, so my low moments, like me at rock bottom nowadays, was just yeah, like me in Thailand with my lover, like just staying at a beach resorts and stuff like that, that's like my low nowadays. So I've come very far, but yeah, I just remember I just jumped into because I had literally just came back from 4 months in Thailand. Like I had just came back from 4 months in Thailand and I met my girl there. But I had to return home to the United States. So I came home and then in less than 2 months I had to go back to Thailand. And this time fully support, because I mean I just want to provide for my girl. Like so yeah, so that was a very like new and challenging experience at first, and then I started getting the hang of it. But through that experience, because it was almost like if I didn't have that challenging experience, I would not have grown to the level of mastery that I have over my reality. Because me now versus who I was like a year and a half ago, I'm like, wow, I thought a year and a half ago I was so powerful, but me now is like a billion times more powerful in every area of my spiritual practice. And I needed that challenge um to get by. But me 2 3 years ago, the challenges would look like me facing like homelessness at home, like, just like so many heartbreaks and so many terrible things happening, and just like very dark night of the soul type moments, so yeah.
How do you feel if I said that going to Thailand wasn't like the challenge, but almost that trip to Thailand was like you surrendering yourself to the universe and saying, I trust you, do your
Yeah,
thing. Because
yeah,
how
yeah.
that also you went there and then you found the love of your life. That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the first trip, so I met her on my first 4 months there, and that was like I was balling out. Like I was, like at the highest high. But I think meeting her, and just being, I guess for me, I consider myself very young, and then just like when I'm by myself, I feel like I'm balling out, like I'm making good money. But then like all of a sudden, just I want to ball out with my girlfriend, right? And now that's like double, triple the cost, and
We're
that was
expensive.
like a
I
huh?
said we're expensive. It's like
Yeah, you're right, right. Yeah, yeah. It was just right, and just and there was a huge recession going on, and there was just like so much at the time just hit all at once. But I've always surrendered, like because of my presence and meditative practice. I've always surrendered, but there's definitely levels of um surrender, I guess. Like just there's just levels of undoing, right? Like unprogramming and stuff like that. But yeah,
that's a cool story.
yeah. So yeah, let's see. So what does your practice look like nowadays?
So I think so what you were saying there, you were
Yeah.
talking a fair bit about meditation.
Yeah.
And for me, it's mostly the affirmations,
Yes.
but the meditation for me kind of is that beginning journaling, I would say. So that sort of first part of it where I'm
Right.
writing. I suppose that's kind of putting me more into that meditative state. It's kind of putting me at that calm state. Obviously, I've just woken up, so I guess that's that part of it. The affirmations, I find the affirmations to be almost like, how do I say this? I feel like with when I meditate, it helps kind of open up ideas and it helps me kind of gather my thoughts and realize what's important and that sort of thing. But with affirmations, it's more for me, it's more like they're like a force of like setting up my whole day, setting up my whole mindset. So they're more like actionable for me. Whereas meditation for me is more, I think it
Yeah.
suits more at night, you know?
Yeah.
For me, more of a, does that make sense?
We're on the same page. Yeah, that's exactly how I see it. Um, yeah, and I love that. Because yeah, like combining both is what I found to be the key, right? It's not like one or the other. Like I feel like I'm such a student of the game of spirituality, and I take it all. I learn from all the teachers, and then I just take what works for me, and then I just go crazy with it. But I really like what you're saying. Like when you wake up, just be gentle, like just journal, and then
Oh,
yeah, and then just gradually dive into the affirmation and set the tone for the
mm,
day because I think that's something that anyone can do. And that's something more gentle, just gentle way to start because I'm very aggressive. I just tell my audience like, hey, if you really want results, start doing hours of affirmations. Like, start diving into like deep meditations all day. Like I'm very aggressive um with it. I don't know if it's like a masculine thing or whatever, but I definitely think like that balance, right? Like that yeah, that just chilling out and surrendering and letting go and just
oh,
being at ease, right? It's just as important as like single sharp focus.
100%. And my day looks very different when I've been able to wake up early and do my morning routine properly, as opposed to the days where I'm really tired, I've woken up late, and myself and my son are rushing. And that just sets me up for a bad day. It really does. And like you said, I'm glad you said it. It is something everyone can do. I don't believe anyone that says I don't have time in the mornings because my grandma had 6 children and she woke up at 4 so she could have some peace before she had to make all their lunches and do all of, typical Indian household. So what were you gonna say something?
Oh no, no, I'm just like, wow, like that's
Yeah.
so crazy.
So I'm like, no, everyone has time. My sister is a classic example. She's like, how do you have time to do your makeup in the morning? And I say, Chloe, if you woke up earlier, you would also be able to do all of this. And I think giving yourself that time in the morning is so important. Like the last thing you should be doing is looking at your phone or kind of like just throwing the world. Like you should be like, okay, this is my time. No one talk to me. No one, it's like when I go away with my family or I stay at my parents' house, it's like I can't wait to get home. They know that because I can't wait to be in my routine of a calm morning. The other thing I have to kind of ease myself into the day after I've done my um affirmations and my journaling, maybe a bit of reading as well, and had my coffee. I have a playlist called Morning Coffee, and it is songs like Wicked Game and like, yeah,
I love that. I love that.
yeah, like, um, this is terrible because I forgot her name. Just a really
Cool.
famous French singer. It's
Oh, okay,
complete
okay.
head, but it is songs that are Aretha Franklin, just songs that are just naturally calming but really positive.
You said Wicked Game is positive by the weekend?
No, not by the weekend. No, the old classic song. Oh no.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were talking about the weekend. I was like, damn.
No, 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 that's for later in the day. That's for the evenings when I'm trying to stay up and work and stuff. No, like, so in the morning, I'm talking about like just some really old classical kind of uh,
Yeah,
old school music or like slow music. And it's just
yeah,
like positive, but it's like a bit slow. And then I wake my son
yeah.
up with that music as well because I think he deserves to wake up positive too. And just like, I don't want to be shouting in the mornings or trying to do you know what I mean? I'm just try and create that really calming space in the morning to try and set us up for a positive day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like that's extremely important. That's one of the things that's one of the first things I had to do. Get the morning right. And my whole thing is, first of all, if you're waking up, you're, brushing your teeth, if you take a shower or you do your makeup, like instead of just listen, a lot of people just immediately start like, I don't know, go on their phone or like listen to something crazy immediately. And my whole thing is if you just take that time and just do whatever energy work you need to be doing, like whether it's affirmations or gratitude or even just being meditative,
Mhm.
and just go through your morning and just you have to set the tone in the morning. Like I've done this for so many years and not doing it is insane to me at this point, you know?
Yeah, and isn't it funny how things start to go wrong when you don't do it? So I was just going to say I had a period last year where I was working in London for 3 days a week, and I was getting up super early, and then I'd get home, like, super, super late, and I didn't have time to do a morning routine, just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It genuinely was, and I know I just said, I don't believe it when people say they are, but I wasn't living so when I was working in London, I was living in my cousin's apartment. They had a room, so I was renting a room. So we were all awake at the same time. There was no like space for me to be doing the full thing or like the full affirmations or it was like a really makeshift routine. It wasn't enough. It wasn't really doing what it was supposed to do. And wouldn't you guess like my mindset was so bad.
Yeah, I can totally relate too because I had last year things were so turbulent with my mom and dad. Um, because at the time they were like, "Damn, you just came back from Thailand. Like you're going back with some girl we don't even know that you met over there. Like, like all this stuff, whatever." And there was like a huge recession going on. And just it was so much going on, and it was just so bad. And then I remember, eventually me and my family went to China together but anyways, just all the negativity caused me to do a lot of just energy work, like affirmations and stuff on my family. And then things were starting to go well, and then we went to China actually. But in China, because of just I don't know, a different environment, we're traveling and just whatever, I start to slack off on my energy work and affirmation
Yeah.
on my family. So yeah, and then, like, I didn't do any affirmations for, like, 2 months, and, a it's different because at that time, I had just started to affirm for my family for about a month or so, um, and so it wasn't enough to where things fully shifted energetically with my family. It was kinda like, okay, it's like going to the gym for a month and then never going again, right? And, you know? So it was kinda like that, like, it was like a crash diet, like, it was so anyway, so I'm in China and now I'm, like, super close to my family. The whole China trip happened because I started affirming, that my family is happy or whatever, so this whole trip to China, like, manifested, but because of that, I got like, stopped affirming or whatever, and then things just got, like, much more turbulent or whatever, and then, yeah, and then I started affirming again, once I realized, "Oh, okay," like, I was affirming, things were going very well, and I stopped affirming, and things weren't going well, and I'm not saying I have to affirm for the rest of my life, but, I affirmed for 1 month versus what, like, 25 years of resistance and negativity with my family. So it was like I just needed to affirm for a little bit longer. And now things with my family are is like heaven on earth. Like I love my mom. Like I love my dad. Like things are going so well for the first time ever, 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 ever in my existence. Like I'm doing so well with my mom and dad. Yeah, like it's really incredible. But yeah, like um whatever it is, if it's a specific topic, I can't remember what we were talking about, but if it's a specific topic or just your day in
Yeah.
general, like you just you want to set the tone, like no matter what it is.
Mm. I
Yeah.
think we were saying about how when you're doing the work, when you're doing the affirmations, things look good. And then if you just slip out of it and you start to kind of just
Yeah.
let yourself kind of, I suppose, get consumed by everyday life and you
Yeah, I mean, think of it this way, right? If it's energy work and manifestation and affirmation work or just whatever, all this whole spiritual work, it's just like anything else in life. Like it's like working out or it's like playing a sport, right? So let's say let's say you're working out, right? So let's say you're super overweight and you never go to the gym and you just binge eat every day. And then you start going on a diet and you start working out for 1 month, right? And or 2 months, and you're seeing amazing results. And then
mm,
you stop, right? And then you stop. Or you have a bad month or bad week, and then you get discouraged and you stop. And then you kind of fall back and you gain all the weight back and everything, right? Versus if you let's say you're like 40 years old and you had like, 40 years of bad habits and just gaining all the weight and everything, right? And then, yeah, it's gonna take some time and focus, right, to just get back on track. And eventually, you're gonna lose all that weight and you put on a lot of muscle. And now you are so strong and good looking and just in shape, and you're just such an expert at this topic. Now, it only takes minimal now you don't even have to work out as much to maintain that level, right? Now you go to gym, like, once or twice a week, and you're still buff, you're still lean, or whatever, right? So, it's just like anything else, right? Like, at first, I'm mostly talking about subjects where we have a lot of resistance in, right? Just programming, financially, relationships, or whatever, right? So, whatever it is, like, at first, you just gotta do more work, and then eventually it becomes either you don't have to do anything for that anymore, like the relationship, with my girlfriend, like, I don't have to keep manifesting her being in my life,
mm.
right? She's just in my life, like, I've manifested it and everything, so yeah, so you just gotta do, a lot more work at first, depending on the topic, and then yeah, and then because this is a topic of heavy resistance, and then you can just, if you want, like, just slow down, you know? So, yeah,
No, I agree with you. Well,
yeah,
the brain is a muscle, right? So
yeah,
it's training your
yeah.
brain, and then it's also like training it to not fall into that negativity bias. Training
It's
it.
just it's just a habit, like, it's just training your mind, right? Like, meditation, affirmations is just training your mind in different ways. Meditation is more like the moon, right? More I guess I let's just say it's more feminine, like, it is just more just, like, relaxing and allowing or whatever, and affirmations or whatever, it's a little bit more masculine, it's just, like, direct, like the sun, it's, like, direct focus on something. One is not better than the other, right?
No,
Like,
it's like man and woman. It com they complement each other.
perfect,
Like what you've said
perfect.
is more feminine, like one's more relaxed, one's more kind of soft, and the other one is more like, "This is my order." Like, you're putting your order into the universe. You're telling the universe you're gonna have a good day. Obviously, there's so much science behind affirmations as to why they work, and they kinda talk about the fact that it's essentially just creating that, I guess, bias in your brain towards things, right? So, like, this is like a good example. My niece is 11 years old, and I try and, like, show her, like, how to kind of I guess, like affirmations. And I said, watch this. If I do this money chant 3 times, I will get money today. I said, I might find a penny on the floor. I might find, uh, um, like someone might buy me something. I said, I will get money. I promise you. And she said, you're lying. And I said, no, just watch. And I did it like 3 times. And then within 10 minutes, I got a notification on my phone and it was my bank offering me a higher credit limit. Now, to me, that's money. To me, that is what I asked for, right?
Yeah,
Would
fact.
you agree, or would you think,
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Cause I remember, sorry, real quick, like for a short period of time, like yeah, like I was manifesting money, and then it came in the form of like a for me at that time a high limit credit card, I guess, right? So on the
yeah,
external, it's like, oh, dude, it's just a credit card. You didn't manifest shit. But kind of fast forward, I had the best time like all over the world with it, and then I came back, and then a few financial situations happened, and I got it all paid off. So it was like free money,
yes,
right?
like you've just said, some people might look at that and say no, but that's such a negative way of thinking. That's like to me
Hey,
that
Jennifer.
yeah, hey Jennifer,
Yeah.
that to me that doesn't make sense because that's money. So I showed my niece and I said, "Look, does that count?" I think she was a bit freaked out and she was like, "No, no, no, that's," and I said, "It's literally saying to me that I can now borrow way more money than I could a minute ago." And I was like, "That is literally," anyway, the next day I got a huge tax rebate. So I took a screenshot and sent it to her and said, I did my money affirmations this morning. Anyway, she was just in absolute disbelief. She was like, whoa. And I just loved that. That was literally only a couple weeks ago. I loved that whole situation because she's only 11 years old. And if I can open her mind,
Wow.
I can open her mind up at 11 years old to start doing things like this. Like, can you imagine the life that she could end up living? Like, no one taught me these things. Like, I had a grandma that was like very money obsessed, money orientated, and like very positive, I would say, about money. Um, so I guess there was like, I was taught like the work ethic that I have, and we were all very much taught that work ethic from, like she was an immigrant into England, and it's a very different time. We're talking about really racist times and things, and their work ethic and their contribution was like crazy. So I suppose I learned about it in a roundabout way, but no one ever told me say this and you will get this. So
Right.
I do it with my son. Like we he's sick, and since he was old enough to like understand, we pray to the moon.
I love that.
We like basically just thank the moon for like the day, and we take it in turns, and he'll say thank you for my mummy, and I'll say thank you for my son, and he'll say thank you for my yummy dinner, and we just list off all these things and just thank the moon. So it's like just
Yeah.
put these ideas in the kid's head is like is good.
Yeah, you actually just inspired me. I'm like, wait, I want to inspire more of the youth. Like, why not?
I know.
And it's so simple, right? Like, it's really just simplest concepts, and you just,
Yeah.
and so I want to share a quick story
Yeah.
about me and my sister with money manifestation real quick, but I forgot to say, if anyone have any questions about anything, spirituality or whatever, like please feel free to ask. I totally forgot. That's what you're supposed to do on live, apparently. Jennifer reminded me. But yeah, so so this is around the time where I started to first started manifesting money, and it came through, an amazing job at the time, and as a server, which what a reason growing up, like I've always wanted to be a server because like I had to be a busser, I had to do this and that, and I could just never be a server and just make that like service money and everything, right? Um but yeah, so anyways, so my sister was really young. I think she was in beginning of high school, I think. But anyways, so I started to just tell her like, hey, like I'm manifesting money or whatever. So every night after I work, I will come home with what it felt like a lot of money. Like, I had a few $100, like, I have like all these hundreds and twenties in my hand. And I would knock on her room, go to her room, and then she's always like expecting me. She knows I'm gonna come in. And I'll just like have all this cash, and I'm like, yo, look. Right. So I kept doing that every day just because I love my sister. She's like my best friend. It's amazing. So I was doing that, and then I swear, not a month later, she just started manifesting thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Like just all the time. Like without trying. I think she didn't have enough resistance. So where if she was just introduced to the feeling of abundance and like she has so much money, like all the time, just for free, just like flows through. So I think when you get kids at a younger age, even if they're like 14, like like they're it's easy for them. Like they naturally still remember a little bit about how the universe is supposed to work,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then so when they just do a little bit of being happy or just relaxing more or just thinking about money like in a positive way, like it just flows.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And children up until a certain age can't actually distinguish between the reality and like um fiction.
Damn.
Fiction? Or
Damn.
like,
Really?
yeah, they don't really know what the difference is. So say my son who's 6, he still is living in that kind of, his brain still doesn't really understand the concept that things don't necessarily exist. So imagine if you, like, he's convinced Spider-Man's real and just chilling in New York. So
He is
that's,
real.
he is real. And imagine what you could do for a child if you taught them from such a young age about all of this and how to open your mind. And that's why we that's why we kind of speak to the moon, because I want him to grow up just practicing gratitude, because to me, and I know all the books say it, but it's so true, the first step to meditating and affirmations and things is gratitude, because you have to be in that abundant state and you have to be so grateful for everything that you have before you can even think about asking for more.
Wow. So how do you approach as a parent with like just your child is 6 or whatever, and like as they're getting a little bit older and just able to grasp a little bit more concepts and stuff, like how do you nurture them to, I don't know, to towards alignment and choosing your feelings, like choosing
Mm,
money affirmations,
yeah.
whatever. Like,
Yeah. Well, I do. So I think because I've always worked, it's always been instilled in him the importance of money, and that, you know, mummy always works because we need money. And then, if he
yeah,
says something like, oh, you're always working, or if he says anything, I'll say, well, you have a TV in your room, or you
yeah,
toys and things like that.
yeah,
And I think you might disagree, and I know not everybody is this lucky, but when you're a child, you tend to think your parents are right about everything. And obviously, you do what they do. And it's not until you get a bit older you realize that they don't they don't really know everything, do they?
wow.
And so I think I just do affirmations all around the house, in the car. Since he was so little, it's always in the car. I'll say, I'm clever, I'm kind, I'm handsome, I'm beautiful, I'm lucky. Get him to repeat them, repeat the. So we've just always, always done it. And I will never not do it. And, even when I get him up in the morning, he hates waking up. He is the grunt. And I was the same kid, so I just can't blame him. I've just, yeah, it was the same as me. but he's always very grumpy. But I just play music and I say, today's going to be an amazing day. And he's so grumpy and he doesn't want to hear it. But, he comes down to it and then and he's all happy and everything. I just think it's just so important to do like basically just do these things in front of them and kind of demonstrate, because naturally kids copy their parents and they think their parents are always right, don't they? And it's like, if I tell him, if you pray to the moon and you ask the moon will give you what you want, and all of these things.
Wow. I'm just having a whole paradigm shift about, like, I don't know, I've never thought of this. Like, I just never thought of this stuff with,
Do
like,
you
kids and everything.
want
Huh.
kids? That something that you would? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess, like, kinda soonish. Like, I'm just
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
I think with children as well, when you relate it to the moon, if you start talking about the universe, I mean, we've got books about space, and we have books about the universe, and but they're very scientific. They're just basically, you know, great, lovely photos and descriptions about
yeah,
that sort of thing.
yeah.
But if you get a child to speak to the moon, it's this big white glowing object in the sky. It's impossible not to think it's magic. And then it's surrounded by stars because of where we live. I mean, I don't know where you are, and if are you in LA or some
Florida.
Florida? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. So the light pollution, I don't know if you get to see stars, do you?
Yeah, 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 decent amount.
Oh,
It's
you do.
decent here. Yeah, yeah, it's decent here. Not bad.
So, yeah, I was in Miami actually a couple months ago, and I did see.
Miami's probably, like, the worst it can get in Florida.
Really, I did see
Yeah.
but yeah. So imagine as a child, you're looking at like this big dark night sky with all these sparkly things and this big glowing white moon. It's impossible not to think it's magic. So when you get children to speak to the moon as if it's the universe, it's like the god, it's like do you see what I mean? Whereas for us, obviously we're, as they get older, it'll be understanding a bit more about the energies and how everything works. But speaking to the moon is a really great thing. I actually like doing I like doing.
No, I agree. I totally agree, and I don't know, it's just so magical and just open-minded versus, what traditional parents teach their kids. Like, don't have fun, like, suffer, you know?
No, that was
Um,
our Asian households, I
I
think.
don't know. Right, right, right. So just to kind of undo a lot of that, which is funny because I remember vividly, I was like 3, and, I think I had a fascination with the moon. And I remember I pointed at it one time, it was late, I pointed at it, and my family or whoever, they like slapped my hand. They're like, "Hey, don't point at it. Like, if you look at the moon or stare at it, like, it will like cut your ears off." And so, right. So I've
Oh,
always been scared of the moon for like
yeah,
the longest time.
that's so strange. You're not do you still sort of have those, like, or do you just yeah, yeah, I was gonna say.
No, no, yeah. It just kind of like severed my fascination, or not my
Yeah.
fascination. It just kind of like I had to disconnect from the moon because I'm like, oh, the moon is like really strict. Like, damn, like it'll come out off my ears. Like, damn, for what?
Yeah, yeah. I don't I guess there was a few things as when I was a kid, there was a few things, like my grandma had magic hands, healing hands. So if we had like a stomach ache, she would, rub her hands and she'd place them on our stomach, and then like suddenly the pain would just go. Or if we had a headache, and she'd rub her hands and the pain would go. And she was completely, utterly aware of evil eye. I think that's a very cultural thing. So we'd always get a black dot drawn behind our ears. Um, and, there was lots of those things. So lots of kind of magical, spiritual things. So there was elements of it for sure. But yeah, I guess what I'm doing with my son is, and then hopefully what he does with his kids is even better than what I do with him. And you know.
Wow. Damn. Yeah. No. Like I said, like this is something kids and all this stuff. I never really think that far. So just it's such a I don't know. Like
I think when you have
wow.
when you have kids, you'll do an even better job. because now you can prepare of like, okay, how are we gonna get this message through to them because they're children. So, how are we gonna prepare them to go on to just have a life where they believed in all this luck and all this abundance, and making money just work for them, and not viewing money as like a negative thing that's hard to obtain, and it's
Yeah, and when you see, I guess I have an example with my sister that like because when you teach kids that money is easy, like it's direct access, like it's like it's your natural birthright, like it shouldn't be this whole like roundabout thing that you were saying, like you have to do all step A, step B, step through C of hard work to like get a little bit of it, right? It's just kind of like this natural thing, and yeah, so for my sister, it's like nonstop. It's like she's
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's like nonstop, yeah. As well as like everyone else who applies this stuff. But all right, my phone's about to die in like
Same.
2 minutes, okay? So to end it, first of all, what do you have to say just to anyone who's watching?
Oh, I would say if they're new to, so if you're new to affirmations and you feel silly, then that's just the first barrier you need to get past, and start by doing them in your head, but try and do them out loud. No one's watching, just and it will just all flow, and it will, but I think if someone's kind of starting out, like I said, the kind of the gratitude aspect is the most important part of it, before you start putting in your order and kind of dictating how your day is going to go and talking to the universe and everything. You need to really, really, really appreciate what you do have. Everyone's got something to be grateful for. Um, and just completely commit yourself, or just be so trusting in the universe that you just let things happen. Because I've been in situations where I've maybe felt out of control, or felt that maybe things aren't working. And it's not until I accept kind of the and trust and say, okay, I trust you, that things start to then make sense.
So it's a lot of so even before you get into affirmations, you want to get in the right like headspace. You want to relax, like you want to do gratitude, right? Like
Mm,
yeah, because if you do those things, you're gonna find that it's a lot harder to be affected by your negative thoughts to the same degree. It's hard. It's a lot harder for your negative thoughts and worries to get to you if you do the right morning routine and you
mm,
choose the right type of energy.
mm.
Because when you set that energy in the morning, that attracts more of that energy. And you might not be perfect at first, like there'll still be a lot of hectic things
Oh
going on in
my,
your life, but yeah, as much as you can pour into your morning, do it. Because the rest of the day just basically it's kind of playing out that.
absolutely. And that morning routine, I guess that's something else. Like that is so important, and it's so hard at the beginning because it's new, and you're trying to build that habit. But again, it just then becomes second nature. And if you take that time for yourself in the mornings, you will just have that, your days will be so much easier. Not, things happen, but you're just more accepting, and you're calmer, so when things do happen, you deal with it much better, and just accept that you are not in control over anything other than your own mind. That is so important as well. Just having a much easier day. You can't control other people. You only have control of what's going on in here, and
Yeah.
it just helps.
Yeah. And where can people find you?
So I've also got my Substack. So that is Chrissy Dodera. I've just started. So I
Yeah.
have about 6 subscribers. But I promised myself that this was the year that I would put my work on display, and I would go for it.
And what do you like to talk about on your emails and your Substacks?
So all about affirmations, just helping people with affirmations, helping them with um, affirmations for particular things like maybe confidence or money or things like that. So just about specific, kind of similar to you, of course, which is
Yeah,
linked up because they are very much on the same wave of everything.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I've obviously got the Substack, and if you want a bit more, I have a TikTok which is just Christie, and that's where I started posting the affirmations originally. So
Okay.
all of that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, and I'll link it below.
Yeah,
Alright. Yeah. Alright, my phone's at, like, 1%, so
yeah,
Imma let everyone go.
sure.
Yeah, appreciate you, yeah, and we'll collab again.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Andy. Have a
Yeah.
lovely rest of your evening.
Same, thank you for staying up.
That's okay. Bye. See you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Tune into the next one.